another episode of Open Spaces with Siera Vernice. Funny joke before I even go any further. The first I tried to record this episode, I tried to start it, I was like, welcome to another episode of Self-Express. That is not our name anymore. We are Open Spaces with Siera Vernice. And sometimes I get a little mixed up, I get a little confuzzled. I be trying my hardest not to, but I just had to redo it. It's okay. It's okay. It's been a long day. I am batch recording this week, so I recorded this episode and I have recorded another episode that had dropped previously. So forgive me if I'm stuttering, forgive me if I'm just not really right with my words because honestly and truly, I'm tired. I started recording at 11:30, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. It is 8 o'clock at night. And I didn't just do podcasts. I did short form content as well. So it's been a day, and I still have to make it to the gym after this, which I will do. So let's hop right into it, y'all. This week's episode, we will be talking about getting out of survival mode, and I feel like this is a topic that is really important, and it's a conversation that needs to be had because we are all surviving, trying to figure out how to navigate through life, but we should be living. And I know me and Kenya had a conversation about this and briefly talked about it, but I'm going to dig a little bit deeper today. And again, everything's going to be off the top of the dome. Of course, we have our segments, and we're going to slide right into the very first segment, Align and Reflect. Again, like I said, I don't think I'm going to change this segment because it's kind of like a type to recap, type to see how things are going. But the funny thing is, when I was on my way back over to the office, I was like, should I do the segments? Because it's the same week. But y'all don't have to know that. But I like to be transparent and honest with y'all. So for this week's Alignment and Reflect questions, I switched it up a little bit so that I can give y'all different types of answers, considering the fact that I'm recording this in the same time that I recorded last week's episode. But again, y'all don't need to know that. And it don't matter because y'all still gonna get the tea. Y'all still gonna get everything that y'all need. Hold on, let me make sure Alright, I just wanted to make sure my ringer was off. Okay, so the question for Align and Reflect segment is, what truth about myself became clearer this week? So this obviously is the current week that I am in. But I feel like this question is a little bit different because I believe a truth that allowed myself to become a little bit more clearer was that whatever it is that I want to do, whatever it is that I sought out to do, whatever goal, outcome, aspiration, goal, whatever it is possible for me. And I know a lot of times that we have the goals, we have the dreams, we have the, outcomes, the objectives that we're looking to reach. But sometimes we let that self-doubt creep in and we don't realize that, it's creeping in. So we kind of psych ourselves out of whatever it is that we are trying to do because we think that we're not capable of doing it because the self-doubt and the negative part of us is telling us that it's not possible. But this week I can say that it became more evident and more clear that whatever it is that I want, whatever life that I want to live, whatever outcome I want to have, whatever goal I want to achieve, it is possible for me. It will happen to me. It will happen for me. Great things are flowing around me through and through. I am literally living in abundance of all the prayers that I've asked for, everything that I've wanted. I am literally capable of doing anything that I set my mind to. So that's something that I've become more clear about this week. I can say it makes me feel good too. It makes me a little tingly inside because I feel like, you know what? You are in fact that girl. You are absolutely right. You are that girl. And you can do whatever it is that you set yourself to do. And that's just that on that, period. And then the other Align and Reflect question is, what can I simplify going into next week? So I kind of implemented some strong systems in place this week. I decided to write out my week because sometimes it does get a little bit different depending on each week, depending on my part-time jobs and, when I'm scheduled to work. But I had to realize that I have to treat my business and treat everything that I have going on just as much as that job schedules me at this time or I pick up overtime at the other job. I have to do the same thing when it comes to my life. I have to do the same thing when it comes to my business. So that's something that I've been simplifying this week, and I will be making sure that I am taking it into next week, because truth be told, when you have systems, when you have routines, life is just so much easier, because it's like you know what you have to do already. You get up in the morning, you know what day it is, you know the tasks that you have on your task list. You show up, you get it done. It's no time to waste. It's no time to think about, oh, what do I have to do? Or, have that decision fatigue, like, oh, well, am I going to do this or am I going to do that? You're going to do everything that you set out to do. You're going to do everything that's a part of your routine. You're going to show up the way that you said you were going to show up. So that is one way that I'll be simplifying my week. Next week is to follow through with the systems and the routines that I have implemented. Again, because as y'all heard in the previous episode, I had to realize that I was falling off a little bit when it came to like my morning routine, my nighttime routine, reading my Bible, journaling, reading a book in general. So yeah, I'm trying to simplify a little bit more of getting back into my routines. And I've already written my weekly schedule down, the things that I'm doing from Monday to Sunday, Sunday to Saturday, however you want to say it. The schedule is set, and of course I have rest days. I'm not doing stuff every single day, but those days are set. And as much as I would have liked to went to sleep after recording at 3:30, 4 o'clock the first time, and having to go be a mom and make sure I eat, I would have loved. When I tell you, I was so saddened when I walked past my room and I was like, I gotta go back out. I gotta go back and finish recording this, because I don't want to do this next week. And even if I do show up next week, guess what? At least I'll be 2 steps closer than what I would have been if I didn't do it this week. So I had to pick myself up and make it here, okay? And that is what we are going to continuously do, because we are on a mission right now, okay? So that is the Align and Reflect segment. Of course, you can always answer those questions on your own. If you ever want to share your input on the questions, send me a DM. You got the Open Spaces Podcast Instagram, or you have my personal Instagram. So, yeah. Let's jump right into the topic. I feel like I am like dwindling down when it comes to my energy. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit back in this chair and I'm going to relax, okay? I'm going to relax. We're going to have a conversation. I do have my visual going. Oh, I can tell this about to get on my nerves, because my words just, they blur. Like, you would think I done had me about 4 drinks. Golly. Sober as I don't know what. So, like I said, the topic is getting out of survival mode. And I just kind of want to have a conversation about survival mode. I feel like when it comes to being in survival mode, a lot of us don't even recognize that we're in it. And I'm also going to, because I have my hands in the phone, I'm going to do some research while we are live recording, because I can do what I want. This is my podcast, and I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to search it up now. And I'm going to basically ask, like, what does survival mode look like, so that we can have some actual facts. Because in my honest opinion, mine's like a whole list. Okay, so signs that you are in survival mode. Why is this? Hold on, let me turn my Wi-Fi on, because my connection is running slow. Sorry, y'all. I am technically unprepared. So while this is loading, I'll talk about ways that I used to look at my life and when I start to realize that I was in survival mode. So one of my biggest things was that my nervous system was dysregulated. When I tell you constant chaos, and I chose to be in that constant chaos. The anxiousness, the running around, the waiting to the last minute to do things, the putting myself under pressure and feeling like, oh, I operate well in pressure, or even saying things like, just kind of being on high alert and looking at things like, oh, well, maybe this person is trying to do this to me, or maybe this is going to happen. Like, just always trying to find ways and operate in ways that made me feel like I have to survive. I have to fight for my rights. And if you've been listening to the podcast long enough, you know I've been screaming I was fighting for my rights and fighting for my life for quite some time. And I didn't realize what I was saying and what I actually meant when I was saying it, because I was just like, feeling like I gotta get up, I gotta go to work, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta cater to my kid, I gotta run my businesses, I gotta show up here, I gotta do this, I gotta take him to football practice, and I just always felt like I was constantly running and running and running in a circle and waking up the next morning and having to do it all over again. Now, I know you might say, well, Siera, that's life, that's what we're supposed to do, but not technically. Yes, you have responsibilities, yes, you have obligations that you're supposed to partake in on a day-to-day basis. But it's a difference of how you are actually living day to day, right? When we are in survival mode, we are doing things to try to stay alive, right? We are doing things to survive. But when you are actually living your life, you are doing things that are meaningful to you, you are doing things that make you happy, you are doing things that make you feel good. So there's a difference based upon obviously your behavior, your feelings, the things that you actually are doing. And it's not to say that working a job has you in survival mode, but you want to make sure that the job you are working is in alignment with the life that you are trying to live. Not the life you are trying to survive from, but the life you are trying to live. So living and surviving are two different things, and a lot of people don't realize that they are in very, very high speeds of survival mode. So some of these popped up. So it basically says like survival mode can appear differently in different people. In some people it looks like more anxiety, and in others flatness and depression. So for me it was very much a very anxious type of feeling, like never feeling like I'm at ease. Like maybe the weekend when I'm numbing out in substance with drinking and smoking and all of that. But again, that's just temporary, right? That's kind of just trying to numb the symptoms but not actually fixing the root cause, which is what am I running from, or what am I trying to get a relief from? Because I feel like from Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday, my life is miserable. But top of Friday morning or Friday afternoon, oh baby, I'm ready to drink, I'm ready to party, I'm ready to have fun. That's you trying to numb yourself, right? AKA survive, because the simple fact that you had to fight for your rights and survive all week long at that job, or all week long in school, or all week long doing whatever, right? It is that you feel the need in order for you to survive. Now Friday comes, now it's okay, we're going to celebrate. Oh, we're going to do this, we're going to numb out, we're going to be surrounded by people because I didn't had enough. I didn't fought for my rights all week long. I didn't had enough. Every day should feel like a joyful day for you. Every day should feel like a day where you're living. Every day should feel freeing. You shouldn't have to feel like you are fighting for your rights every single day. You shouldn't have to feel like you are doing things each and every day to survive, right? And I know there's some people who are in certain situations where you may not have the money, so you have to work, or you don't have a job and you need the money, and you're trying to figure out ways to get the money so that you can take care of yourself, so that you can take care of your family, whatever it may be. And I get that. But I promise you, when you constantly live in chaos and you constantly live in that anxiety and that depression and all those negative ways of living, and I know, trust me, I know, it's hard to get out of that or see the brighter side of it when you're in it. But again, the way that you think about yourself, the way that you think your thoughts in your life, and if you do not reframe them, you are going to keep living in that same rabbit hole of depression, of anxiety, of survival. You have to learn how to really beat the cycle. You have to learn how to rewire your brain, rewire your life, change your life. A lot of people think that, oh, I just wasn't lucky enough, I wasn't fortunate enough, I always have something happening to me. That's because of you. And yes, it may be situations that you were put in or situations that you are currently in, and you feel like it's not my fault. It's your fault that you're still sitting in it. It's your fault that you know you want better and that you need more and that you require more, but you're not doing what it takes. I've seen people in relationships stay in relationships simply because it was comfortable. They know they want more, they know they want to be in better positions, but it's so hard for them to let that person go because either they're waiting for the other person to let them go, or they're waiting for something so dramatic, so traumatic to happen that they can feel like, okay, it's time for me to walk away. You have to choose for yourself how you want your life. You have to choose if you want your life to be a certain way, that you're going to be the one to get up and get it. When I was in survival mode, it took me a very long time to realize that, God damn, this is my life. I actually don't have to deal with this. And I know people who know me enough know if it's something I don't want to deal with, if it's something that I don't want to partake in, Siera's not doing it. Because whose life is it? It's mine. And it's the same thing when it comes to you. If you don't want to do anything, then don't do it. If you don't want to be in a certain relationship, then leave the relationship. And yes, it's easier said than done, but I'm going to be truthful when I say this. We hurt ourselves, because I'm not going to just say y'all, because I've been through it. We hurt ourselves more by holding on to something that we know we need to let go. I'm going to let that sink in. We hurt ourselves more because we won't let go of the things that we know are not meant for us. We are holding on to those things, and all they're doing is harming us. I just made a TikTok video the other day. I don't know where I was at. I think I was in my car or something, but it was pretty much like, if I had an opportunity to talk to my younger self, or even talk to my little sister, or any female that's out in the world that's in her early 20s, mid 20s, on her way to 30. The best thing you can do is to learn how to let go and move on fast. You have to learn how to let go. You have to learn how to move on. Because if you keep holding on to things that are no longer serving you, you are going to be so far gone when it's time for you to walk away. I tell some of my friends that too. You are in certain situations you don't want to be in. Oh, but you're going to thug it out. You're going to see how it go, because you really got the faith. You really got the opportunity, to really make this thing work. If it ain't working now, it ain't going to work next month, right? If it ain't working next month, it ain't going to happen and change next year. You have to learn how to get up and pivot, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, whether it's a habit, whether it's the structure of your life. If it ain't working, change it. If it ain't working out, do something different. If it's not what you want, let it go and go after what it is that you do want. That's that living in survival mode. You have to learn when to pick yourself up and say, you know what? Okay, I feel myself being stagnant. I feel myself operating in chaos. I feel myself trying to prove who I am to somebody who doesn't want to see my worth. It's time for me to get up and stop living in survival mode. It's time for me to take back control of my life. I can't keep running in these circles and being in chaos thinking that things are going to change because something fell out the sky and decided to change. No, I have to be the one to say, I want to take back control of my life. I have to be the one to choose to stop living and operating in chaos and trying to survive day in and day out, and say, you know what, I'm going to do whatever it takes to live. And I know people are like, okay, well, how do you do that, Siera? How do you actually get out of survival mode? There's plenty of ways, but the first thing I'm going to tell you is write out a list of things that you actually want to do in your life. What makes you feel like you are living? What makes you feel happy? Do the things that make you feel good. Do the things that excite you. Hell, do the things that scare you, because those may be things that you eventually learn to like. You learn to love. You learn to be like, oh, you know what? This is not that bad. I actually like doing this. But the more that you keep going in that rabbit hole of trying to survive and getting up and going to work and coming home and binge watching TV and scrolling, you're going to look up and half your life's going to be gone. I said it in my first book that I wrote. I looked up by the time I was like maybe 19, 20, maybe I was 20, 21. I had realized what happened. Like, I'm aware, right? I lived through high school, but I can't tell you nothing that I did that excited me. I can't tell you nothing that I did that felt good other than having my kid. But like, that pertains to somebody else's, right? Somebody else's livelihood, somebody else's, you know, perception of me. Because obviously I showed up for my kid so that I could be a good mother, because I don't want to be a bad one. Again, worrying about how other people perceive me. But how do Siera feel about Siera? What type of life does Siera live? Right? What experiences has she had? It's like you'll look up and you'll be like, dang, I'm 40. What did I do? I have nothing to show for it. And if you ever have the feeling of feeling like, oh, I should be in this type of way of life, right? I should have this type of career. I should have this type of money. I should have been able to experience this. When you have those feelings, that feeling alone, that thought process alone is letting you know everything you need to know. You've been running rabbit trying to just simply make sure that you get through each day, breathing and surviving. But you don't feel like you've ever reached any goal that you've sought out to reach. You haven't obtained anything. Now, granted, sometimes we are a little dramatic, and like for me, I always have those should statements and feel like, oh, I should be here, I should be and people look at me like, girl, you had done a lot. But even still, the internal part of me knows that there's been some years that I was surviving. There's been some years that I let fly by. There's been some months, there's been some weeks, there's been some days where I wasn't being intentional. I wasn't being disciplined. I wasn't being consistent. I wasn't doing the things that I've known that I've needed to do because I just was focusing on surviving. I wasn't focusing on my future. I wasn't focusing on trying to accomplish the things that I said I was going to accomplish. I actually did this, I don't think it was a study, I think it was something that I read in school for one of my classes, and it basically talked about like how different cultures and ethnicity groups operate in different time focus. So you have obviously the past time, you have the present time, and you have the future time. Unfortunately, and I don't know what like who all listens, but for me as a black woman, unfortunately I learned that African Americans only focus in the present time. And it's not that it's bad, because we're not saying that you shouldn't live in the present, but this is referring to present as in day-to-day survival. Day-to-day, I gotta get up, I gotta get this money, I gotta wait till Friday, that's when I get paid, that's when I can pay the bills. You can't think about what you're gonna be able to do 2-3 years from now. You can't think about a goal that you would like to have set for your 5-year plan because you're focusing on how to survive and get through today. That is upsetting. That is upsetting, and it makes it even more upsetting because as a black woman, as a young black woman myself, I've seen myself go through that. I've had goals in my head for years, ever since I was a little girl, but I have never been able to focus on those things until now, within the last 2 to 3 years, to say, oh, I can have a 5-year plan. And it's not just the financial 5-year plan. It's a 5-year plan of what do I want to have accomplished in the next 5 years. I ask a lot of people that. What do they see themselves in the next 5 years? They can't tell me. I ask them what do they want for the next 90 days. They cannot tell me because you're only solely focused on what it is that you are trying to accomplish right now. And that is just simply getting through the day, simply getting through the week, simply getting through the month so that you can make ends meet, so that you can pay your bills, so that you can turn back around and do it all over again. That is surviving. That is not living. And to give some context to the lecture that I was in, the present time was African American group. The future was more like what do they call it? I don't want to just say like white American, but you know, American, Caucasian American. It was another term that they used, but I can't really remember. And then the past time was more of like the Native American descent, or even like the Indians and things like that. Like they focused on the past, and not because they focused on things that happened before, but they are more cultural based upon their generations prior. So that's why I'm like, it kind of doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, you're dwindling and you're thinking only about the past, the present, or the future, but it's just basically the level of survival and the level of needs that each category and each culture represents and focuses on. But it was very enlightening to see that the African American culture was only focused on the present. They couldn't think about the future because they have to worry about how to get through today and tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And it just hardened my heart because it was just like, oh my gosh, like that is so true. And I felt that I was able to connect with it even more because friends, family, like even just like years of seeing other stuff, it's been like, this is so true. You don't see it. Well, I can say I'm very proud of us now, but as African American women, I see a lot more of women and men, black women and men, being able to be successful, being able to plan their future, being able to, but it wasn't always like that. I would say within the last 2 to 3 years, maybe a good 5, we've been thriving a little bit more, but it ain't always been like that. And I still feel like even to this day, there's a lot that we still have to fight for, and a lot that we have to overcome within ourselves, and even within, my bad, Joa, my kid texted me. So you can leave it alone. Yeah, I feel like there's still things that we have to try to fight for. And it's just sad. I don't really get too much into the history of any type of culture, but when I start reading more, when I start understanding more and learning more, it just upsets me. And that's one of the things that, I don't know, for me, it's not always just about keep going, be disciplined for other people, for my mom, for my son, it's for me. Like, I ain't even gonna hold you, like, it's for me, because I want to be able to thrive. I want to be able to be powerful. I want to be able to be one of the ones that made it out. And that's just that on that. I don't want to live in survival mode. I even see different pieces, like different parts of my family, my friends, neighbors, just, I study human behavior, so it's like I see a lot of people who you can tell they're tired. They're depleted. They're tired of doing the same thing. They're tired of living the same way. They're tired of fighting to get through each and every day. And it's sad. It's really sad. So I want us to really get out of survival mode. I want us to get out of that anxiousness. I want us to get out of that depression. I want us to have regulated nervous systems. And one thing I can say about learning about nervous systems within the last 2 years and understanding what it really means to have a regulated nervous system, you have to really have your nervous system at peace. Like, if you want peace in your life, your nervous system has to be peaceful. Like, I don't care what nobody says. So it's like, yes, obviously you're going to have some situations that pop up and you're going to be anxious from time to time. It's not like it's just a complete flip the switch, it's gone, it'll never come back. It's always going to happen. It's always going to happen, but it's about how you respond and how you react to things that are sent to destroy your peace. And I am a firm believer in not letting not a person, not a job, not an obstacle, nothing put me back in survival mode. I have to be able to stay in my peaceful state of mind, because without it, I really don't know. I really don't. I might be on this joint crashing out. I might be in a world crashing out, but I can't live like that anymore. I can't do that. That's like I talked to one of my coworkers from my old job where I was full-time in management, and she was like sitting there like explaining all the stuff, like basically same stuff that was been happening when I worked there, and same old stuff. And I just looked at her and I was like, sounds like ain't nothing changed. And I said, it do sucks. I hope that you get out of it. And granted, I never really want to force nobody to be out their job. But at the end of the day, I know what it feels like to work there. I know what it feels like to be the person that they need. I know what it feels like to get something thrown at you last minute and it's super chaotic. When I tell you, my nervous system used to be so dysregulated working there full time, so dysregulated. I always felt like I gotta go home. I gotta roll up. I gotta do what I gotta do. And you wanna know why? Because that was my numbness. That was my relief. But truth be told, that was only temporary. That was only the thing that was going to relieve the stress then. But guess what? Tomorrow I gotta wake up and do it all over again. And then be stressed out all over again and come home and do the same routine. Weekends come. Maybe I don't even let the weekend come. Maybe I'm pouring 3 glasses of wine by the end of the night. Nobody should have to feel like that. It's not to say that you can't enjoy the recreational things that you want to enjoy by all means. But it's something when you're doing it to numb your feeling, your body, your emotions. It's a difference. If you gonna go have a drink or you gonna go, smoke UL, you go do that out of the enjoyment for you because that's what you want to do. But when that drug, when that substance starts to become a god of yours because you need it on a daily fix because you stress, because you're depressed, that ain't helping nobody. Your nervous system is not happy. It's gonna be happy for the moment, trust me. But again, that's just temporary covering up the symptoms. You gotta dig at the root of what is actually wrong. You're miserable. You feel like you are worthless. You feel like nobody loves you. You feel like you're not good enough. You feel like you won't receive better. But you'll never know that because you're going to constantly keep running into the survival mode that you've been living in, that you've been used to. And when it's time for your little release, you'll get it and then you'll be back into it. So it's time for us to start living. It's time for us to start just taking back control. Like, that's the best thing I can say when it comes to getting out of survival mode. Really learn how to start pulling back the control for your life. Again, not recommending anybody to quit their job, but if your job is a place that stresses you out, or if it's a relationship that stresses you out, start making your exit plan. Start figuring out what it is that you need to do next so that if and when, which I hope it does happen, you leave or you do get out of the situation, that you will be okay. Because you don't deserve to keep running into rabbit holes of chaos, of anxiety, of feeling frustrated, overwhelmed. Like, you don't. Nobody should ever feel like that. And you really will not see true peace until you get out of survival mode. You have to learn how to start living your life so that you can actually enjoy it. Not just enjoy the weekends. Okay? So that's all I got for the topic. I hope that y'all have enjoyed this topic. It's definitely a conversation that I would love to expand on when it comes to other people, but I know that I have put it on my radar to speak on briefly about. So I hope that y'all got something out of this. We're going to jump into the next segment. And this is a different one because I feel like this is the second segment is the one that I'm probably going to interchange until I figure out which one that I really, really like. I definitely love that Dear Align Me. That was like so far my top favorite. But this segment is going to be Alignment Confession. So I basically get to share with you a real moment of misalignment and what it has taught me. So we kind of talked about a lot of my misalignments. But I'll talk about a misalignment that I realized that I was partaking in and I had to get out of it. So that would be, I guess it kind of can tie into what we were just talking about, but I don't think I've ever openly talked about it. So there was a period of time where I start to feel like, not that I necessarily wanted to cut my friends off, but I kind of wanted to dial back with the access. Love my friends down. We always gonna show up for each other. We always gonna have a good time every time we together. But it was like a period of time where I was showing up all the time, or if I wasn't showing up, then they were showing up, right, to my house. We were hanging out, we were having game nights, we were doing all the things. And it wasn't until I looked up and I realized, like, man, I just want peace. Like, I don't want nobody to come over here. I don't want to go nowhere. I don't want to drink this weekend. I don't want to do this. I just want to have my peace and my sanity, and I want to be alone. And then I realized I have to be the one to say, I can't do this. But guess what I did? They called me the next day, or the next following upcoming weekend, Friday, Saturday. Oh yeah, we going to And guess what? I jump skipped hop. And that's when I knew I gotta make the decision to fall back. I have to make the decision to prioritize my life a little bit different. I have to make the decision that if I don't want to be bothered, or if I don't truthfully want to go out, don't psych yourself out and say, oh, you know what, I could do that. If you don't feel like it, don't do it. Don't agree to it. Speak up. Say what you need to say. So yeah, that was a real moment of when I recognized that I was continuously putting myself in misalignment. I was putting myself in situations that I know I didn't want to be in, but I still did it because a little part of me still wanted to. A little part of me wanted to people please. A little part of me wanted to obviously still hang out with my friends. But it had taught me that if I really want my life to be a certain type of way, or if I even want to have the control that I say that I have in my life, then I have to learn how to say no. I have to learn how to prioritize. I have to learn how to be better. Because if I don't, I'm going to keep living the same life over and over again. I'm going to be back in the same cycle over and over again. So at what point do you decide that you are going to change your life and make it different? That's my confession. These are my confessions. All right. Of course, y'all, we have the one-on-one coaching calls, Let's Figure It Out sessions. If you are interested in a coaching session with me, you can look in the show notes below. I have availability this week, next week. My availability is open up until, April, up until June, because June, I believe I am going to open up another cohort of the mentorship program. So I will be stopping one-on-one coaching, but I am open for coaching up until June, really the end of May, because the June cohort will be starting, the second cohort will be starting in June, so that all backwards. And of course, if you are looking to not really get into the one-on-ones yet, and you kind of just want something that, you know, you can journal in or keep track of your goals and just start to work on becoming more. Of course, I have my Start Becoming More workbook. It is an alignment workbook that allows you to write down your goals, your dreams, your aspirations. It allows you to reflect on the goals and the habits that you are having and partaking in so that you can reach your goals. It also has journal prompts for you to be able to jot down your feelings, answer the questions that are in there. We have, what else do we have in there? Pattern decoders, seeing the patterns that you have in your life and seeing how you can overcome those bad patterns and turn them into good patterns. It's a journal full 60 pages plus of work for you to do so that you can become the best version of yourself. So if you are interested in that, that is also in the show notes. And then we're going to jump into the last segment. I feel like I am doing well. I am going to sleep like a baby tonight, but I am doing well. So for the last segment, I want to do some homework. So we're going to do some inner work, homework this week, and going into next week. And of course, I'll have whichever one I chose for the following week as well, so that y'all can see what my homework is. So of course you have the two options. So first one is to release one thing for the upcoming week. So you can release a thought, a fear, a habit, a story, someone else's opinion. Or you can do one thing that you've been procrastinating for a very long time and let me know how it goes. I think personally, I've been working on doing things that I've been putting off. So I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to do releasing one thing for the upcoming week. I just don't know what it would be. I don't know what I'm going to release, but I will tell y'all in next week's episode what I did actually release for that week. So that's y'all inner work homework. I hope that y'all have enjoyed this episode. Again, I am trying to really get a lot of good followers on Spotify. I'm trying to get people to follow the show on Apple Podcasts. I'm trying to get followers on the Instagram. We're going to have a challenge soon because I think I'm going to do a little giveaway. We've been getting some new listeners. We've been getting more listeners, which I appreciated, but we have to start leaving rating and reviews. Matter of fact, let me see if we got some new ones. Now, granted, from the last time I checked, it might not be a big of a difference, but let me see. And again, I probably need to check my Spotify reviews because I really only check on the Apple Podcast. But wherever you listen to the podcast at, leave those reviews. I feel like if it's a 5-star show, give me 5 stars. If it's 3, if it's 4, give it to me. I'm not afraid of no feedback. I get feedback for a living. So make sure y'all do that for me. Yeah, that's all I got for y'all. I hope to see you guys in a coaching call as soon as possible because I love to be able to talk to people and have real life, real authentic conversations. So I hope some of y'all book a call. And if not, if you're not ready for that, I'm completely understanding and fine of that. Make sure you grab that workbook. It is definitely a life changer. I personally use the workbook every single day. I look in it, I go reflect on my goals that I had set out. Obviously, I have a digital version as well, which you can check out on my Beacon store. I dibbled and dabbled around with that a little bit more because I could reuse it 1,010 times once I got it saved to my iPad, and I can doodle and I can write and I can do other things. But the physical copy I love as well. So yeah, that's all I got for y'all. I hope that y'all have a great and amazing Thursday and enjoy the rest of your week. I love y'all to life, and until next time, bye.